It's voting time. The four wounded guys who battled Black were brought back to the starting place, shocking the other participants with their condition. Participants in the area were called to the starting point. Then I showed there, accompanied by Sung Cho and additional players, were perplexed by what they first observed when they arrived. As several player bodies were lying around, they began to wonder what had happened. Ein surmised that the man drenched in blood standing there was the culprit. Ruman said that it appeared as though Cho Jung-sik had regained the upper hand. Unfortunately, Cho Jung-sik, the leader of the Jung-sik gang and the second most skilled fighter in the district, has a completely trashy disposition. With so much blood on his face and torso, Jung-sik's expression was unsettling as she gazed at him. Ryan looked back at him and concluded that it wasn't the proper moment yet, therefore it was best to neutralize a ticking time bomb before it went off. After waiting for him, Jung-sik approached him gradually and inquired as to where he had been. Sanil and Ein turned to face Black Sai. Black asked Jung-sik politely what he needed from him. With a smug expression on his face, Jung-sik responded to that offer by telling Black Sai to be his servant. "Serve you," Black Sai answered. In response, Jung-sik whirled his dagger and said he would spare Black his life if he cooperated. The laugh that followed as a reaction took him by surprise. Black questioned if he was ready to go to war right now. Black gave him a smirk and instructed him to get down on his knees, since it is the only way he would spare him damage. Junik was driven by this to call Black Sai the crazy bastard and to accuse him of not realizing how serious the situation was. Black interrupted Junik in the middle of his statement to inquire if he was having trouble understanding what had just been said. Black pulled out his firearm and inquired as to if it would be more satisfying to simply pass away there. When Black Sai's weapon caught Jung-sik off guard, he panicked within and began to wonder where he obtained it. He also began to regret interfering with him. After asking what was wrong with him, Black responded as though to tease him, saying, "Cat's got your tongue." Gritting his teeth, Junk braggedly identified himself as the leader of the Junik gang, Junk. He questioned Black Sai on whether he would bow to just anybody. When his emotions were at their peak, he swung them carelessly and challenged Black Sai to attack with his magnificent weapon. In response, Black Sai scoffed, noting that Jung-sik was as irritable as usual. He made the decision to quit making fun of him, since he knew things would get complex once he shown his strength and won the players' votes. In order to deploy Jung-sik in the third round, his strategy is to designate him as the representative. Furthermore, the angel will appear at any moment. The angel came as if on cue, confirming whether or not all of the humanity had assembled. Black distracted Junik and assured him he was lucky. Black advised Cho Junik to be careful who he challenges next time if he doesn't want to pass away too soon as he turned to leave. Jung-sik felt relieved as well as simmering with rage as he stood there as though he was frozen. Although he was seeming tough, he was secretly afraid that he would have a heart attack. He let Black Sai go for now, but he promised that if he ever became the representative, he would use his powers to get revenge on Black Sai for the humiliation. The angel inquired of the humans whether they had chosen their delegates. The angel saw the bodies and remarked that they had done more than just talk in their 3 hours together. She also emphasized that it is none of her concern whether or not the trash people perish. She then inquired as to whether they should carry out the planned voting. Every player saw a screen announce that the vote for the area representative had begun. Each player could cast one vote, and the region representative would be the one with the most votes. All they had to do was select the candidate they wanted to support. Additionally, players who don't cast their votes within the allotted 5 minutes will lose their place in the round, and the voting timer will start to run out. After hearing the command to "Look at who I want to vote for," one participant repeated it while glancing around and focusing on a certain candidate. The majority of players were focusing on Junsik, who had a smug expression on his face because he thought that everyone was watching at him. And suddenly, he started to feel astonished. When he turned a woman's plump cheeks a steamed bun, the woman was taken aback and perplexed. The woman, on the defensive, informed him that she had voted for him. He was becoming enraged with her for not looking at him. When the allotted time for voting had elapsed, Junsik looked around him and roared threats at the people. He watched every move and called out to everyone who turned away. The angel informed them that the voting period had ended and that none of them were foolish enough to attempt to rig the results. She motioned for them to count the votes and clapped her hands. The voting results were displayed on a large screen. Cute Baby Bird received 5 votes, followed by Chubby Cheek Steamed Bun with 6 votes. Black Dragon in my right received 249 votes, followed by Black Scythe with 277 votes. Life is a Documentary received 24,000 votes, placing it in first place. Although Junsik received the most votes and came in first, he was not satisfied with the amount of votes he received. Black Scythe came in second. He was so angry that some players avoided looking into his eyes as he glared at them. He was upset that they had voted for Black Scythe rather than him. As the region representative, the angel said that life is a documentary when the vote was over. Given this, the angel bestowed upon him the power of command, enabling him to direct people around a Windows screen indicating his appointment as the region's representative and his deservingness of this authority. This made Cho Jingik's bloody visage smile broadly. He then decided to make Blackie regret not killing him by ordering everyone to work together to kill Blacktha. Something caught his eye on the TV. It demonstrated his authority of command and his capacity to give players orders and exert firm control over them. The skill can only be used 10 times, it can only command one player at a time, and it is ineffective for players who are members of a class. Applicable players are not allowed to defy the order in any situation. He appears dissatisfied with the circumstances, especially the ability of players with a class to disobey his orders. After voting, the angel asked the humans if they felt done. However, that wasn't the case because there was a hidden quest for that round. The angel's meaning was beyond the player's comprehension. There is a sub-quest in the second round. A Windows screen informed them that if they succeeded in obtaining an advancement item in a class, they would earn a 50% discount coupon for today's purchase. Sang Cole and Aaron didn't seem to know what a class or progression item was. The angel told them that was how the mission window was supposed to appear when they reached level 10. A gamer inquired as to how they were meant to level up in the absence of monsters. The angel informed them, "There are many monsters in the forest," with a gloomy expression on her face. Since just 880,000 persons nationwide were allowed to move onto a class this round, the angel advised them not to worry. Additionally, she said that someone in their area had advanced in class, leaving the gamers to wonder who it was. When the angel inquired as to whether they ought to examine the outcome of the subquest to ascertain, the second round subquest results were shown on a wide screen, showing all regions. Black Scythe, level 16 Reaper, was ranked first, followed by Heavenly Demon, level 10 Dark Knight, and Foolish Fools, a level 10 Shaman, in third place. In their region, only Black Scythe had a class. The players' reaction when they realized Black Scythe was the first to progress was a hint of terror. Additionally, that he is the only one in their area. Additionally, he is a Reaper in his class. While they were chatting about his class and staring at him, one player surmised that perhaps this was the reason he had been holding a scythe earlier. Given that he already teaches a class, Junk is furious that he was unable to command Blacktha. He also finds the timing of the event surprising. The angel said that ranks were given out in round 2 based on the fastest completion time of the subquest. She turned to face the board and announced that Black, the person who had switched classes in their region, had also taken top place throughout all regions. This impressed her so much that she even mentioned how special his class is, and how his moniker fits in with it. She questioned him about how he came up with the nickname. She followed up to find out more, asking him if he had previously acquired the Reaper class. Ryan nonchalantly replied that he had no clue he would be taking a class that would match his namesake. The angel then proposed the notion that Ryan become. Yes, Reaper must be fate, according to Ruman. He had noted in the back of his mind that the angels are unaware of the Reaper class's acquisition process. They are just aware that it is a special class. She said that was interesting, and the angel asked if that's what fate is. She clarified that he is the only individual in the area who will not be impacted by the authority command, adding that it was unexpected that there would just be one person in the area who had switched classes. When she indicated that the authority command won't harm Black, the players questioned what she meant to say. The angel asked if she would go on teaching everything, and then she told them that those with a class are not subject to the authority of command. Since there are only 10 opportunities to exercise the authority of the command hand, the region representative cannot order Black to do as he pleases. Therefore, just because someone is designated as a region representative does not grant them unrestricted power. The players comprehended her explanation, but Cho Jung-sik became enraged since he didn't want anybody else to be aware of the authority's requirements. The angel then inquired as to whether Black Scythe, who finished his class the quickest, should receive a reward. She gave a finger snap. There were 2 window screens that showed up. The first one congratulated him for finishing the quest and coming in first place in the region, while the second one said he had won first place throughout all regions. After Ryan was the first in the region to obtain a low-rank uncommon armor, and the first in all regions to receive a special award, he touched the screen to claim his rewards. He is asked to select one uncommon armor piece from a list that includes a leather armor fit for a medieval knight, a well-ventilated mage's robe, and an expert hunter's armor. He was already aware of his options. He selected the second option, the expert, because the first was too heavy and the third is almost worthless in terms of protection. Hunter's leather armor. He is then required to select one from the list of unique gifts. There are 3 experience possibilities. Information about the third round, and the 3,000 gold buffs that are preserved for it. Knowing that there will be a lot of monsters in the third round helped him make his decision. Thus, the 3 times EXP buff is the obvious decision. The angel declared that the prizes had been given out. Ryan's body radiated gold. The angel also said to the other players that everyone could go home. Additionally, the angel tells them that the third round will be a lot of fun before they teleport. And she assured them, "I guarantee it," grinning sinisterly. The results of round 2 were displayed on a large screen. There are only 873,205 survivors overall, and 998 survivors in the current region of ES-455. Other announcements included that the next round will start on March 1, 2023, and that the soul will be transferred to the body in the existing dimension. The message concluded by congratulating the players on their survival. The most recent notification indicated that the soul will soon be transferred to the body in the existing dimension. And without warning, a hand twitched. Iman was the one who startled out of his sleep and began to scream. He was surprised to see that his hand was still whole when he glanced at it. He was relieved that his arm remained linked because he had anticipated returning with a normal body as long as he lived. Then his face took on a dejected expression, and he determined never to deal with Black Sai or even come into contact with him ever again. Sanal gave Aeon credit for his diligence. In response, Aeon said that she hadn't done anything and that he had put in a lot of effort. She turned to face him, beaming, and said, "Thank you." Sanal said that it's what's expected of him as her manager and bodyguard, appearing uneasy as he cleared his throat, glanced aside, and fixed his tie. Ayn expressed her desire to express gratitude to Black Scythe once more and inquired about the possibility of doing so. He added that Black Scythe intended to conceal his true identity and that they had no way of finding him because they are unaware of his true appearance. Ayn affirmed that he genuinely wishes to remain anonymous. Sanal clarified that he learned about it when he requested for his account information in order to be compensated, but based on his quick refusal, Blackta realized that the account number would allow him to be tracked down in real life. Ayn is not pleased that she understood. Sanal advised her to locate him in the following round and give him something if she truly wanted to express her gratitude. The proposal made Ayn smile. Ayn said that was a fantastic idea, and she began considering a suitable compensation for him. Sung Cho told her to go to bed, and they would talk again in the morning. She also advised him to take care of himself. When Sanal's phone buzzed as he was about to use the elevator, he entered and took President Ma's call. Sang Ko observed that the president was still awake. President Ma commended him for moving to dark night class, but he also acknowledged that he was immediately back into a whiskey. President Ma inquired about events occurring inside their area. Midway through, Sanal claimed that he and Ayn were only able to reach level 8 because they were hurt and couldn't hunt President Ma. Heard when Sanchal arrived at the parking lot, he said he was going to report back on the event and inquired as to if now would be a good time to discuss it. He said it has to do with the Black Scythe. President Ma requested that he come to the hotel so that he could hear it directly. Sanal informed him that he would arrive in 20 minutes. Sanal drove along unaware that a stranger was watching him. Watching his car pull out of the parking lot, it was Ruman who was snooping on him. Ryan questioned whether Sung Cho was en route to Mangluk 10 minutes prior. Ruman was watching Wani sleep as she sat on the bed. When he saw Sung Cho and said his name, the stab window's screen informed him that he needed to choose the target he wanted to follow. It then said that the target's name and face matched, and the target's location has been tracked. After that, the window said that the target has been located and is 9 meters away. Ruman saw that he was getting really near and questioned whether he was in the penthouse, when the position suddenly changed to 23 m away. After that, it was 56 m away. He observed the location had changed, and given how quickly it was moving, he deduced that Sang Ko had to have used the elevator. He was curious as to where he was heading so early in the morning, and he considered the idea that it might be in the direction of Mach. He put on his jacket right away and went directly to the door to make sure his guess was correct. He acknowledged that it was fortunate that he made the decision to find him as soon as he got back. There are clouds covering the full moon. It prevents the moon from shining. Megan was admiring the sky, thinking that this would be the ideal night to pursue someone. He chose to put up with it for the time being since he needed to hear the report. Considering that Black Scythe placed first in both the first and second rounds, he pondered what kind of player might be unfamiliar with him. He tapped his finger on the couch's arm because the news about the number 1 made him uneasy. He began making assumptions, including that Black Scythe would fight his subordinate first. If that is the case, he was aware that he wouldn't stand by passively because undermining his right-hand guy is tantamount to confronting him. His face was serious as he considered not allowing anyone to stand in his way, not even if they were the top dog. His right hand was in front of the door when it felt strange. Asking whether she was inside, he knocked on the door and told her to leave. They raised their feet and greeted each other. Sanal told him that President Ma was the only one who could keep their friendship going. Chairman Ma told him that they never met in the same place and that he never needed to do anything. Sanjel bowed before him, thanking him, saying that President Ma's very presence was motivational. President Ma commended him for his positive traits. "It's not flattery, it's the truth," Sanal assured him with assurance, and he was commended for succeeding. Once again, President Ma congratulated him on his class promotion, comparing the second round to delivering a caramel to a Sanal infant. It was obvious to him that it was a fortune. Sung Cho, however, continued to emphasize that coming in second or third is not an easy task and that luck is also a skill. On to state that holding the position of President Ma represents the greatest honor she had ever received. Chairman Ma put down the drink and said to Sung Cho that he must be wooing him because he must need something from him. In this way, anytime she sensed that she wanted anything, she asked Sung Cho if her intuition was correct. Sang Choi inquired anxiously about how he had acquired an advanced object. Chairman Ma told him that during his hunting, several objects had fallen and turned into monsters. It was reported that Runa noticed her chunk of the asteroid because of her run through the pitch-black night. At that moment, the angel informed them they would check their inventory to see the gift he had prepared. Upon checking his inventory, he discovered he had obtained the Dark Knight, which bestows an evil aura on the weapon that deals damage to opponents and boosts all stats. When the weapon achieves level 10, it might immediately advance to the special Dark Knight class. He recorded the pertinent data, even though he didn't appear to understand it at the time, and concluded that he was lucky to have gotten an object that was better than his random run in the first round. However, she is not allowed to divulge private information to anybody, not even close relatives or other valuable subordinates. Realizing that people can alter at any time due to their innate potential, Chairman Ma shifted the topic and asked an open-ended question. "Who hurt you?" Very genuinely asked if she was black. Surprised by his assumption, Sanal corrected him right away, telling him that the black Sai was the one who had saved his life. Chairman Ma has asked for particular data to be sent. Chairman Ma pressed him to explain if the goons chasing the actress were the reason she was in danger of dying. Sang Cole reiterated that they might have died if Black Scythe had not shown up. He told her that although Ayn had survived, she had suffered severe psychological harm that kept her from going back to work in the entertainment industry. Chairman Ma had to consider this carefully, since not only was his trade company in danger of failing, but he was also going to lose his most valuable subordinate. Chairman Ma assumed those goons were dead when he asked them where they were. Sanal stated that Blacka had not killed them, but rather had caused them to suffer until they died. President Ma asked Sanal why, to which he replied with the black proverb, "Killing them achieves nothing." The fundamental idea was that the population that survives experiences a drop in proportion to the population as a whole. President Ma voiced anxiety about what those killers might do in the future, even if he acknowledged that nothing is wrong. He pondered as he sipped his whiskey, explaining to me why the occupants and their minions continued to exist. Sanal said that he owed money and told Black to get it. He clarified that he had provided some money back then, but Blacka had told him it wasn't needed and that it had been paid for quickly. Chairman Ma expressed surprise at the timing of the compensation refusal, which he attributed to Blacka's nervousness after disclosing his identity. Blacka had been presented as a responsible individual. It appeared as though their conversation had come to an end when they both got up. Chairman Ma instructed Sinkal to thank Black Scythe if they happened to meet paths in the upcoming round. He genuinely feels appreciative of the person who kept Aeon and Sanal alive. President Ma is not one of those who sends in past due invoices and waits for a response, so Sanal vowed to give him the information and ask Blacka for assistance. In response, Kolsung said, "As you wish, sir." With a menacing look, he recalled that, should he decide to depart, he ought to question Chairman Ma, as he would pretend to be familiar with these guys' names. As everything passed, Ryuman hid behind a hotel tree outside and observed the surroundings, reflecting on how loyal Sung Cho is to his dog. When he returned to reality, even though it was already dark, he made a beeline for Gon Rock, because he had verified its location. He was sure that separating would lead to problems as well. Noticing the irony that Gunrock's favorite star, Lee, lived in the same apartment as him, he mentally called for a cab. He mentally noted that they would never have met Ein if they hadn't given out rice cakes to their younger brother. Furthermore, I never would have discovered Sang Cole and Ein's relationship. It was clear as he opened the taxi door that Gan Rock could gain confidence by making good use of their neighborly friendship, but he still needed to determine whether or not to send Gan Rock to the 20th round. It knew the caliber of Dark Knight's rune from Gyeon Rock. Though it's an incredibly powerful trap, there are drawbacks, such losing the advancement rune and needing to train to become a knight. The Dark Knight's power, Dark Aura, requires the accumulation of dark mana, an exclusive form of mana that is unobtainable through conventional means. Still, this is the biggest annoyance. For someone who appreciates psychophysical reactions such as the Gunrock, it makes some sense. Ryan maintained the psychopath as a candidate for the time being and made full use of him, deciding that having him as an ally would be dangerous. It was mentioned that some people are gifted. I noticed a girl who exuded green strength. They decided to get to work as soon as the sun rose after they had found their place. Afterwards, in a shop, the counterman appeared unclear about what to do and expressed anxiety that revenues would be slashed in half. His daughter showed up at the door without warning. His daughter Julie asked her father why she was so independent when I first saw her. He said that there is an outright ban on the sale of lottery tickets. Julie informed him what transpired after her confession, claiming that despite the government's reasonable explanation, it seems they still think the players are to blame. The government said it had no idea what the players were capable of. Julie remembered that once was a man who won the lotto 4 times in a row. His father says he doesn't know what to do, and that the cost of the purchase and the labor is making things difficult immediately. Julie assured him that she would help, and that he would graduate shortly. Her father told her that she should put more emphasis on her schooling, and that she wouldn't have enough money if she took a part-time job to supplement her salary. After complimenting her grades, he asked her whether she planned to attend college. She informed him she had given up on that ambition because her dream was to become a magician. She stated that the school is irrelevant given the circumstances. His father lost it and submitted to his. The reason was that, should something not sell well, Julie could lose in the following round, so money was not the primary concern. He apologized to his kid and told her he had been everywhere lately. Julie informed him he had nothing to regret because he was innocent while holding his father's hand. He happily informed her that he had made it through the second round and had even learned a lesson, reassuring her that everything would be all right. To fix it, he held out his hand, raised his hand, and directed it toward his father, causing a green light with circles drawn on it to appear. His father would have been appalled and would have wondered what he had done if his body became green. He claimed to have gained the class known as Buffer in order to obtain an ability known as a blessing. Consequently, he asserted that it has a revitalizing effect on people and increased statistics. His father confirmed that he felt inspired by him, expressing gratitude and happiness at the acquired talents. She pleasantly informed you that she would routinely apply her skills and urged her father to progress. Sir smiled profoundly. The store's doors opened. The man behind the counter seemed to recognize him when Ruman entered the store. In a low voice, Julie asked her father if he was aware that the man who had just walked in had told him he had won. To be clear, he was talking about the top guesser, who was able to identify the number on 100 tickets. When Ryan greeted him and asked whether he remembered him, the man behind the counter stated he was the one who had purchased 1,001 lottery tickets. The man asked him why he had been there after recognizing that he recalled him. Ryan took the man by surprise with his next move. The man abruptly inquired as to what was going on after Ryan apologized. He clarified that because he had won the top reward twice, the NAT lottery had ceased selling tickets, as he had heard in the news. He apologized profusely for unintentionally breaking the store. Julie observed the entire scene. He was reassured by the man that even if they were unable to sell lottery tickets, they would not go hungry, and that it was not his responsibility. As he goes through his luggage, Ryan says it doesn't sit right with him since he feels like he's the one who's harmed them. He wants to make amends for them, if only somewhat. Rumen startled both father and daughter by revealing that the package contained 10 million pieces when the accountant inquired about its contents. The man turned down the cash. Rumen insisted on being accepted and departed right away. The man appeared to be overflowing with wealth. The man handed Julie the letter, and Julie offered to hurry and return it. Julie caught up with Ryan and called for him to halt. Rumen swiveled to face her. Julie asked him to identify himself, as if she recognized him. Ryan doesn't seem to get that Julie told him they were in the same class. Julie asked him if he was suggesting that he didn't know they had been in the same class. Ryan apologized and claimed he wasn't good with faces, but he was lying because he was aware of Min Julie. He belongs to the same class as the business owner's daughter and has the special class buffer. He was genuinely shocked that fate existed when he first learned that she had attended his lesson in the past. He plays it like they happened to meet in order to win Julie over. Julie invited him to meet somewhere to talk. Ryan agreed to the terms. They were seated on a park bench, taking in the brilliant blue sky. Julie gave the envelope to him. "Is that the cash you just handed over?" he inquired. Julie told him they couldn't take that much money and asked he return it. Ryan knows that his $10 million donation will not be approved, yet he knowingly made the enormous donation knowing that he cannot live with debt despite his challenging circumstances. He was still holding the envelope in his palm, and his arm was beginning to hurt. She urged him to accept it. Ryan declined, explaining that it was the least he could do to assuage his conscience after telling the owner that he only had that much money because he felt horrible about hurting people. Julie told him that was a lot of money. In response, Ryan said that he would still like them to accept it, no matter how much, because he would feel awful and couldn't stop thinking about it. Ryan rationalizes that Julie's allegation that it is still burdensome and excessive is the very reason he is providing it to her. He requested Julie to let the owner know that they shouldn't feel compelled to take it because it's not a big sum of money. Julie asked him about his persistent obstinacy. Ryan stood up to bid her farewell, but Julie persuaded him to hold off by offering to take $1 million as opposed to $10 million. He inquired whether she could decide that for herself and suggested that she speak with the store owner. Julie told him that amount of money would definitely make his father uncomfortable. Ryan told him that although he routinely frequented his father's convenience shop, he had never heard of it and found the coincidence intriguing. Julie concurred and expressed her own fascination with it, particularly given that her partner is the inaugural winner. Apparently, the word friend had affected Rumen. Julie informed him that she had recognized him as soon as he walked into the store and questioned whether he was truly oblivious that she was a student in his class. Ryan apologized and stated he wasn't very good with expressions when he noticed Julie seemed glum for the first time since he just heard her name. Ryan apologized for what happened. Julie blushed and remained silent. Ryan felt bad for pretending not to know her, but that was the only way he could make her curious. Julie got up to verify that they are in the same class, and that she goes by Min Julie. Being quite close to him, she inquired if he would remember it, and revealed that was his face. Julie's cheeks reddened, and she was stunned, but Rand smiled and said, "Yes." Graduation is quickly approaching, so she is introducing herself to a student when hilarity strikes her in reality. Ryan retorted that, if nothing else, at least he already knew and that they would still be in contact after graduation. Then Ryan wanted her phone number. Julie appeared stunned. Ryan questioned whether he should have asked for her phone number. He claimed that asking for a classmate's phone number was not unusual in the slightest. With a nod, Julie requested that her number be entered into the phone. She worked on it, blushing. After that, he gave the phone back to its owner. Ryan told him they should keep in touch because their meeting was preordained. Julie answered, "Yes," stuttering, and Rumen encouraged her to hurry because he had an important assignment to complete. When he turned away from her, Julie realized she was still holding the present, and she yelled at him to wait, but Ryan just waved her hand. Ultimately, he failed to return the envelope. His face heated and his heart raced as he recalled how he'd asked for her number. He knew that he was asking her to be his buddy, but he couldn't help how he felt about her. He remembered how he had seen them tormenting him when they had first happened to cross paths. She wasn't sure if she was acting out of sympathy, but she felt forced to go all the way when she reported the incident to the police. He made the decision to follow him in order to ensure that he got home securely. However, when I observed Ryan continuing to work at his part-time job as though nothing had occurred, he learned that he is a stronger person than he appears to be. That's when she initially expressed interest in him. But she didn't have the guts to talk to him. That's when she realized she couldn't approach him since her love for him had grown so strong. He chose to be courageous today, since he never would have thought that they would run into each other again. He views it as a rare chance that the heavens have given him, and he can no longer say that he is unaware of it after receiving the 10 million. Grinning broadly, she inquired whether she might invite him to supper. Ryan is laying in bed and gets a message from Julie inviting him to lunch. He assured her that the meal was available and that he would cover the cost, but Julie insisted on covering the cost herself. He expected her to feel that she owed him something, not that she would immediately offer to buy him lunch. That's good news, since it will be simpler for you to gain her support if you talk to her after deciding to save Julie and advance her to the 20th round. Wani is seated on the couch when she emerges from her room. He said he was meeting a friend when Wani questioned him about his movements. Wani questioned whether the girl was a friend and whether he couldn't get laid. Rumen told her brother she was going out to lunch. Wani appeared perplexed and concluded that perhaps his brother was going somewhere. Ryan and Julie got together during a cookout. Ryan inquired as to what his favorite steak was. Upon hearing, "Yes," Ryan encouraged her to eat a lot. It was one of her best days ever, she realized with a flush. She had never thought she would eat by herself with him. For the remainder of the dinner, they ate in silence. Julie believed the atmosphere was getting uncomfortable and felt obligated to speak up. How had she won the lotto 4 times in a row, he asked her. He told her he'd had some good luck lately. Startled, she questioned him about how much money he had made from the dream. Ryuman nonchalantly remarked that he would not have to worry about money for the rest of his life, while yet realizing that his life is the most important thing. Julie then inquired about his first round experience and whether or not he had struggled to get rid of the goblins. He told her it had taken him a long time and he didn't recall much, but in the end, he knew the answer was 5 when she asked him what area he was in. Julie says hers ends at 7 o'clock. He expressed his grief that they were unable to cross paths in the afterlife. Rumen figured he shouldn't give up since, with less and fewer people left, they would eventually come to areas that had merged together. He said he was at level 10 when she questioned him about his level. It was at the same level, he claimed. In response to her question on his classes, he said that he had not yet enrolled in any. Pretending not to know, he told her that he was lucky enough to get a class change item. His class is named Buffer Rehuman. He expressed his gratitude that she is once again a buffer and questioned whether it is comparable to giving out game perks. She asked him nervously if he wanted to see it, and he said he would want to, explaining that the boost is called Bless and it improves all the stats. She extended her hand, and something appeared in front of her, a green drawing. The pop-up message informed him that the blessing would endure for 3 hours and had raised all of his metrics by 50%. He said he was amazed by the gift and that, considering the remarkable outcomes, he assumed it would be a unique talent. He was relieved to receive the boost, even though he knew that his talent would double in efficacy when it reached its maximum level, a 100% increase, especially because he planned to meet with her for that reason. Rumen recalled receiving a random bag of gold as payment for completing the first class change sub-quest. As the name implies, the luck statistic influences this kind of bag, meaning that you can obtain more gold if your luck is higher. He tells her the results are good and thanks her. She responded happily, saying that all he had to do was let her know if he needed buff, and she would take care of the casting. She questioned him about whatever he could recall sharing with him. He continued by thanking her for the $10 million donation and adding that his father had also wanted to thank her. In addition, he promised to pay her whatever it took. She has nothing to worry about, he told her, and he questioned if that was exactly what he wanted to say. Since he doesn't have any money, there might be another motive. She reminded him of something. She produced a shiny thing and asked him what it was. He claimed to have found it while hunting and promised to take the item even if he declined payment. She tells him that she is being honest and that he shouldn't think about turning it down, pleading with him to accept it. He told her how great it had been and that they ought to get together again after lunch. She readily complied with his advice to use caution in the next round. Ryan was at the park by himself. He took the screen from his stockpile. He looked closely at the item Julie had handed him. It was a stunning purple stone with a trace of enchantment, but he was unprepared expecting her to give him such a gift. It was a purple magic crystal of low quality. He took it out of the stock. He doesn't know how the object works because there isn't much information about it, but he knew that when he got to level 20, he would be able to understand how uncommon it is. Once a player reaches level 20, they can use the combination function. It allows the player to combine a magic crystal with a weapon and assign more options. Magic gems are available in 7 different shades: purple, dark blue, orange, yellow, green, and blue. Red indicates damage. On the color wheel, orange denotes power and yellow luck. Green enhances dexterity. Blue boosts intelligence, whereas dark blue reduces damage. The purple magic crystal, which boosts all stats and has the lowest likelihood of occurring, is the rarest of them all. Counting himself lucky, he'd managed to grab the glass with ease. Despite his foolishness, he realized that in real life, he had a relatively high luck statistic. He noticed there were just 30 minutes left in the blessing when he decided to use the crystal after leveling up to 20. He considered opening the gold bag before his buff ran out, but not before realizing he needed to start leveraging his butchering job to boost his numbers. He produced a plastic box containing 100 mealworms from his bag. He is obliged to slay monsters because the only requirement is that it must be a living being. Insects are not present in the other realm. Every time a victim is killed with the butcher rune, your stats are raised by 1%. Thankfully, that is not how things operate in the actual world. The plastic wrap was left on the ground by him. He apologized as he raised his foot to stomp on the bug. The window then showed his kill total, which was 45 out of 100, and that the Butcher's Rune effect had raised all of his stats by 45%. Subsequently, a second update surfaced, indicating that all data had climbed by 67% and that their death count had now reached 67. More updated data was shown in a third window, indicating that he had achieved a kill percentage of 100 out of 100. Every statistic has increased by 100% as a result of Butcher's Rune. Then, when he opened his status pane, he saw that his luck points had increased to 45. He has optimism and thinks he'll get what he wants. The rare consumable item, the random bag of gold, which yields a random quantity of gold between 1 and 99,999, was then taken out of his inventory by him. Because the luck stat impacts it, the user must have a rank greater than novice in order to utilize this item before the next round. Rumen understood that luck was on his side right now, so he reasoned that this would be a good time to use the random bag of gold. Observing it, he wondered how much money he would win because the system is so arbitrary that he might always gain the same quantity of gold by using the same statistic. Your previous luck may have awarded you anything from $3,000 to $6,000 in gold. Ryan's look changes to one of surprise. The notification window revealed that he has utilized an additional random gold pouch. A window opened, showing that he had received 9,999 gold. He is pleased that he obtained the maximum amount and feels that receiving the blessing was worthwhile. He then checked his entire gold balance, which is 16,249 gold, which should be more than plenty to purchase an incredible item. He chose to keep the gold secure for the time being because the item he desires will be available in 2 weeks. Returning to their apartment. When Ryan called out to his older brother, he declared that he was holding his smartphone and that he was finally back. Wani enthusiastically walked up to Ryan and inquired about his date. Ryuman seems perplexed by his inquiry. Wani questioned him about if he went on a date with a fling after he was advised to quit talking ridiculously, and he was questioned about his lunch. In response, Wani said he had requested black bean noodles. When Ryuman inquired what was wrong with his choice of food, he said that he wanted to eat it so much and that he should have chosen something nicer. Ryuman pouted. Ryan nodded solemnly, remembering that they were barely getting by just a month prior. Speaking of that, he recalled that he had invested $150 million in Bitcoin, and that, similar to his earlier endeavors, the market would probably crash in 2 weeks, at which point he would make sure to close his account. After seeing a lovely car on TV, he decided he ought to get a driver's license. Ryan passed the written test for a driver's license. He pondered the number of times he had taken the test before deciding to go in with a mediocre effort. Right away, he's finished. When the proctor got up, he was perplexed. The proctor noticed that the student who had just departed had completed the test quickly and received a score of 95 when he looked at his computer. He thought he would pass, but it took 4 days for the license to be issued, and then the moment came. Holding out his smartphone, he said, "It's time to stop using Bitcoin." While he was on his phone, he couldn't stop laughing. When Wani asked him if something positive had happened, he replied that he had just sold all of his Bitcoin. When Wani inquired about the growth, a human told him that it had reached $300 million. One nearly spilled his coffee due to his disbelief at the enormous volume. He was shocked to learn that his brother had invested only $60 million at first, and he couldn't believe it when it increased to $300 million. Just a month ago, he wanted to stop his brother because he couldn't get over his shock, and now it had grown into a sizable sum of money. Rumen informed him that, based on the last attempt sum, he only anticipated 280 million and didn't think it would grow to that extent. When Wani inquired if he was going to give up everything at this point, Rumen assuredly said, "Yes." Wani thought it was a smart idea. However, he was in for a surprise when his brother said it was time to begin stock market trading. Wani, who had no prior stock market experience, appeared to be close to cry at his brother's choice when he was asked what he was intending. In order to reassure his younger brother, Ryan assured him that he had just seen it in a dream. Wani questioned him whether he had any more premonitions, claiming that this one was stalking. Ryan described how the dream informed him that if he purchases it now, it will become very popular, and that his only choice was to help his brother. In the back of his mind, Ryan doesn't blame WY for feeling anxious, but he is sure of his future knowledge. After that, he made the decision to buy stocks. He selected the Heavenly Demon Consulting Corporation, which is valued at approximately $9,100 million and is ranked 85th on KDAC. Heavenly Demon, although Guyon Rock owns consulting, the company hasn't gained much notoriety yet, but after round 4, it will create a unique method and see explosive growth. Ryuan reasoned that since it will likely be a tremendous success, there is no reason not to invest. He made the decision that he would initially invest $280 million to acquire 31% of ownership because he believed that if he could acquire a significant portion of shares and achieve operational control, he would be able to considerably benefit by exerting influence as a major stakeholder. Just as he was ready to proceed, he heard his brother whispering. It was a hilarious sight to see Wani praying so hard for his desire to come true. And he completed the transaction effectively after that. Buying stuff when the sun sets is what's next on his list. By now, midnight had arrived. Nevertheless, Rumen chose to open the storefront window. Lying on his bed, he perused the products that were accessible. He selected the equipment tab knowing that he had saved up some gold today. Even though the items in the skill are all on normal rank, it's still possible to acquire rare and epic stuff. He said that players can buy common skills and items as long as they have gold. He considers this to be incredibly useful. Something known as today's item exists. It's a feature where you can purchase a daily rotating random item. Usually, it's difficult to get what you want since you never know what will be accessible, but Rumen is aware that he is in a unique situation because he is aware of what is ahead. And on that day, he realized that the epic item he needs would not be available. The skeletal necklace, which sells for 4,600 gold, has plus 3% int and plus 1% attack speed each opponent slain, both of which may be maximum at 25%. It is effective until the end of the round. Rumen was a little excited when it dropped because it's an inexpensive item with effects that improve attack speed and intellect. After making sure the item he saw it was already in stock, he opened his inventory and made the decision to use it, and pulled out the 50% off coupon that he had been given for finishing the advancement quest. He intended to use the 50% off coupon after making the jewelry purchase. He was shocked to discover that he still had 13,949 gold when he clicked buy. He sat up, surprised to see that he still had a sizable amount of gold. He began making plans for what to buy next. Initially, he intended to use the remaining gold to purchase a set of standard equipment. However, he reasoned that if he saved an additional 6,000 gold, he could purchase another common skill, which would be preferable because a common skill outperforms standard equipment. As a result, he is now driven to acquire 6,000 gold as soon as possible. Luckily for him, there are a lot of monsters in round 3. As a result, time went by, and March 1st, 2023, has already arrived. When the inevitable day arrived, the player's body glowed yellow, and their spirit began to be transported. Thanks for watching and have a great day.